El Paso, Texas, the city where Gory Guerrero established his promotion and made himself a pretty damn big star, in all honesty. And then the Guerrero legacy is still going throughout the world of professional wrestling. No thanks to Vicky Guerrero shitting all over the goddamn name and douching all over the goddamn name because she's such a fucking bitch that nobody wants her around. But that being said, El Paso, Texas certainly has a rich history when it comes to professional wrestling. And now, this show. Whatever this was. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite from the Don Haskins Center in El Paso, Texas. 2 big title matches. Well, there were technically 3 title matches, but 2 big title matches. There were moments on this show where I'm like, you know what, I really like what AEW is doing. And then there were moments that took me completely out of it. 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards, and then a left turn right to the goddamn wall. So that being said, let's get right on into it. And I do also want to announce that I will be going to the April 15th tapings, the Dynamite and Collision double tapings in Everett, Washington. It's going to be interesting to see if people turn out. The last time they ran in Everett, just a bit before Double or Nothing 2024, there were about 3,000 people in a 10,000 seat arena. Even if you only fixated for about 6,500 people, that's not good. So, on to Revolution in 10 days. I also want to say that I will be taking notes for Revolution and the Oscars as they are on the same night. Tony Khan really should have run the show on a Saturday. Excalibur and Shivani on the call. Now, I'm going to say right now, they need 2-man booths more often. They need a better 2-man booth than this. And Shivani has enthusiasm and I believe does love what he's doing. But he should be the interviewer. Excalibur is not a good lead commentator. Bryan Danielson needs to go get the neck surgery. They need better commentators. And fast. Collision recaps basically what builds to our first match. MJF versus Kevin Knight for the AEW World title. And you know what? Kevin Knight calling his shot. I like Kevin Knight. He performed well here in front of meager crowds in the Pacific Northwest. And has definitely done well in Japan. And has done well in AEW. Limited ads. And I will give them credit. They, I think, only took like 90 seconds of ads. And then let the action breathe. The crowd was... Well, I would say the crowd eventually got split, but they were booing the fuck out of Kevin Knight at first, which was a bit of a surprise. Arm drags, and then hold number 1, arm bar. The UFO splash does miss, and just before that was a kitchen sink, so basically, we've got a lot of rib targeting. And that's nice. Let's have a story. Kevin Knight has been going full blast. And now MJF is going to slow it down. Oh, look, wrestling logic and psychology applied on a professional wrestling program. So, there was a face plant. MJF was, trying to get the crowd more into it. Apparently, they only had like 3,700 people. And the capacity for the building is about 12,000. Not great. The crowd did bring the energy, the crowd that was there. But... Kevin Knight is very good, is what I noted. MJF really should be working with more people like this and having good matches where he can get, some steam back and everything, even though I think I know what's going to happen in Revolution. So, a big slam that Kevin Knight eventually got, even though his ribs were hurting. He had a splash for 2, a dive outside to a pop, and another kitchen sink. We got a DDT, and then a diving lariat by Kevin Knight, and we go to our first break. He does hit a coast-to-coast. He hits a splash. But just before he hits the splash, MJF kicks referee Bryce Remsburg into the ropes. And okay, he sells it a little goofily, but to be honest, at least he's a bald guy that actually has blood in his veins, unlike Rick Knox. More on him later. But, not a count in time. 1, 2, and no. And then eventually, Kevin Knight goes for another UFO splash. We get the knees up. And then we get a heat seeker just soon after that. 1, 2, 3. Very good match. Good opener. This is the kind of stuff I enjoy AEW doing because you have these competitive matches where you're able to still elevate somebody. And Kevin Knight is not going to lose anything by losing this match. MJF, of course, had to win. It would have been great if they hadn't just wrote themselves into a corner, the thing with MJF and Paige, but that being said, He does, him being MJF, throws the referee out and is going to attack Kevin Knight. Hangman suddenly shows up, and then Speedball shows up and super kicks or thrust kicks or whatever kicks MJF, and MJF sells it for about 8 million years. So there you go. So far, pretty good. We're 20-some minutes into the program. Then Orange Cassidy and Darby bring us right back down, and look, Darby is about as over as he's ever going to be. I don't think he's ever going to be the world champion because they just don't know what to do with him. And they took on Clark Connors and Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd, by the way, who knocked Mariah May for being part of the Speaking Out movement because he decided to be friends with a freaking pest. 10 minutes later, Clark got pinned, so thanks for coming, Clark Connors. And then suddenly, David Finlay shows up. David Finlay apparently got an offer to go to NXT. He didn't want to do that, or maybe the money wasn't right for him. I'm not necessarily certain. The money isn't right with Bushiroad because they're not paying anybody. Everybody's leaving. They're banking on Aaron Wolf, who just lost to Bad Luck Fale in the New Japan Cup. I'm convinced that Bushiroad wants to drive down the value in New Japan, after Wrestle Kingdom, and just sell off the company. I swear, at this point, I don't know what else they're doing. So, yeah, David Finlay shows up. Okay, cool. And, by the way, Gabe Kidd also got signed by AEW. What is this obsession with Gabe Kidd? Gabe Kidd's not any fucking good. Even if he wasn't acting like a fucking crackhead the whole goddamn time and showing, little personality or little gumption and just showing the fact that he basically, whether he cut weight or not, he is a bland, boring-ass bitch. Why in the world is Gabe Kidd being featured? Renee is with Bandito and Andrade. They're going to have a match at Revolution. Then the Brawling Birds, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor took on the Inspiration. The former Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. I know what their names are, but just that's what I'm going to know them by. A whole lot of in that ring. I'll say that much. And it didn't take long. Inspiration played their roles well. Got bounced around. Heart attack variation 1, 2, 3. Good. And then Hangman's Girl beat a guy named Marty something. Oh, that's funny. I see what they did there. He beat him with a buckshot lariat in 15 seconds. And then another promo where Hangman has positives that he brings to this company and stuff that he has done to, help good causes, but he still hangs out with pests and dweebs and everything, and Marty Scurll, quite frankly, should not be allowed in professional wrestling. He should be in fucking jail. Missed me with the goddamn age of consent, because that's bullshit. But it's too rehearsed. Hangman at this point is just too rehearsed. It just sounds like a bad script, and while he at times can deliver stuff with a little bit of fire, I'm kind of over it. Here's MJF. Doesn't really get to say much. Suddenly, Fletcher, Davis, and Okada attack. Well, Fletcher and Davis attack. Okada doesn't really do anything. More on Okada here in a bit. Jet Speed shows up, and we're going to have a trios titles match tonight. There is no reason for Don Callis to appear on this program or talk. There's a reason why he is gone from Impact and why some people don't like him. And it ain't just rumor and innuendo. So there was a cornet face shirt in the crowd right behind Excalibur, which is apropos. And yes, people that don't like the fact that Jim Cornette and Ryan Last say what they say about AEW, plenty of people listen to that podcast and go to AEW shows. I listen to those podcasts, and I've been to more AEW shows in just the last year and a half, from January 2023 to Wrestle Dream 2024. Then go to Kent shows in 2025 because why? It's goddamn Kent. But this will mark, let's see, what is it? Dynamite, Collision just before Wrestle Dream 2023. Wrestle Dream 2023. The Dynamite, just a bit before Double or Nothing. I didn't go to the Spokane show because it's Spokane. That's on the opposite side of the state. It's also October, and I wasn't going to trust the mountain roads. And, so Wrestle Dream. So basically, we got that, and now this. So it's going to be a handful of shows that I've gone to. And I can still knock some of this stuff that they do. Such as Renee talking to FTR and the Bucks at a lunch table. They should be at the kids' table. I don't care about this feud. I don't care about this. And maybe Renee needs to be doing a little less of this and more telling her husband that his ideas are really bad. Shafir is featured. Why? I just don't get it. Jon Moxley took on Hechicero. It's an AEW Continental title eliminator match because he's facing Takeshita. And let me just say right now, Takeshita better beat him flat in 10 minutes. I don't want a no time limit thing. I want that to be 10 minutes. I want Take to dominate the fuck out of him, and I want that title to actually mean something. So, I'm going to try again is what I wrote, because Hechicero can work, and people seem to like Moxley, even though he has not changed anything. He still refuses to fucking work properly, whether he can or not. He can't help, some of the bullshit that he does, such as the scratching and the biting and stuff like that, because he's a clown. And no, I'm still sore, I'm still sore about the goddamn Wrestle Dream 2024 thing, and the fact that Jon Moxley was part of some of the worst television in wrestling history, at least modern wrestling history. And no, I'm not going to go with fighting Spirit Mox. I was fighting the fast forward button to get through this shit because I tried, but I'm sorry. Dick the Boozer fucking sucks, and somebody needs to sit him down and tell him he fucking sucks. The crowd was loving it. Moxley won. And Take Better Win in Revolution's all I wrote down. Brody King comes out. We get barking. I was hoping for some fuck guys chants. I'm guessing that maybe if there were some, they were muted. And he calls out Swerve. Nana answers. They're finally letting Nana talk and do some stuff as a manager should do. A good manager, because Nana can play face or heel, but they weren't letting them do much for a while. And then Swerve jumps him with a chain and hangs him. They're really trying this stuff with Swerve, and I give him credit. I don't know if I'm buying it, but whatever. So, he did a growly promo, and they're going to have a match at Revolution. Bandito tries to save, and Swerve runs off to the safety of a few feet away from the ring. And that invisible wall, nobody can get to it. They had Daniel Garcia talk, and once again, the power of speech is given out too freely. Daniel Garcia is one of the biggest wastes of money and time that they have had. Whether he is a good guy, whether he is a guy that has... And he battled through that car accident where apparently he legit was hurt and fucked up and had to go through a lot of rehab and stuff, and I'm glad he's okay. I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's a lousy goddamn wrestler. And I don't want to see him anymore. Just having a Death Riders talk, just stop. This is stupid. This faction warfare thing got annoying in New Japan, and now we're just bringing this bullshit over here. We have the conglomeration that is a terrible faction, poor Willow Nightingale. And then we have the Don Callis family that has some good talent, but it has Don fucking Callis cutting the promos. And then we have the Death Riders, and just none of these factions should exist. So anyway, my word, Thunder Rosa, my word with respect. Thunder Rosa is an amazing talent, and I'm so glad she's back. She got to be there in Texas, and being a citizen here, dual citizen, I believe. I know she posted about getting her citizenship a few years ago. I'm proud of Thunder Rosa working hard and getting to this point, especially coming back from injuries and battling through stuff. She took on Tekla, however you say it, for the AEW Women's Championship. And finally, the main event is on, except it's second to last. I noted, can she slap me like that? I don't have issues. Shut up. There were chops. There was the licking, the chopping. Tekla can work heel and looks great, and Thunder Rosa has a crowd on her side. This was good because both can work. I would have rather had this be the main event, but I get why it wasn't. Drop kick in the ropes, Northern Lights for 2. And the thing is that Thunder Rosa was doing some good stuff, but then Tekla took over, and my God. Just, after the spider suplex, Tekla just does the spear, pulled Thunder Rosa up, hit the hammer elbows that didn't look all that great. I understand what they were trying to do, but no. And then a Fire Thunder Driver, shockingly, 1-2 kick out. And then a corner spot, and then a spear, and a stomp times 2, 1, 2, 3. So, yeah, that was kind of flat. Thunder Rosa just got beat, but you know what? Good on Tekla for, defending her championship. Hope Thunder Rosa can do something go after the TBS title. Maybe she could beat Athena and be the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and we could just do something other than what we've been doing with Athena. I'm just glad to see Thunder Rosa back in the mix. Security tries to stop Statlander, but then Statlander breaks through, while the Sisters of Sin are just standing there, which is probably the best use for them, to be perfectly honest. And recaps a Mile High Madness, that fiasco. I know I was one of the only people that didn't like it, but here's the thing, it wasn't wrestling. So Ciampa wants to regain the TNT title. Then FTR shows up, and my God, they are going to actually try to bring Johnny Gargano in, and they're going to revive this feud that was a great feud. The Toronto TakeOver match was one of my favorite tag matches, 2 out of 3 falls. It was money. They can't recapture that shit now. Tony and Cassidy will keep fighting. The Tony Storm, that is. Tony basically said that she is going to fist people. Why Orange Cassidy is allowed to speak on this program, I don't know. So, yeah, we get the Horsecock Radio Jets set rodeo. We get Hangman, who technically worked twice, except he couldn't take down the actual Marty that matters. Kevin Knight, who got pretty much beaten, like really bad, should have had bad ribs, like, ribs to the point where maybe he couldn't compete. And Speedball, who was also there, taking on Fletcher, Davis, and Okada. Tony Khan needs to be investigated for how he negotiates stuff, because yes, Okada was great. Emphasis on was. He doesn't care anymore. Maybe 15% of the time he's been in AEW, he has actually tried. Other than that, he's lazy. And I've tried to ignore it. I can't ignore it. He has been lazy. And Rick Knox, I'm sorry, Rick Knox needs to be just freaking banned from ever even putting on any kind of striped shirt outside of wrestling. He is terrible. So Speedball did go wild in this match. I didn't necessarily care about this match because I had a feeling what it was going to be. I was told about the finish. Even if I wasn't, I was kind of told what was going to happen. Or I kind of, it was telegraphed what was going to happen. Don Callis does not need to be on commentary. And quite frankly, the women's locker room should have double locks on it so he can't be there. And it's kicker be kicking. Look, the crowd was into this. I will say that much. A stupid Poison Rana. I'm sorry, the Poison Rana's dumb. MJF then shows up and punches Paige while Rick Knox is distracted, possibly because somebody showed him a clove of garlic. And then one Rainmaker. Oh, thanks, Okada, you lazy-ass bitch. Thanks for showing up. And then a pile driver, that wonky Davis pile driver. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, Jake Doyle's out for 8 years. Actually, I think it's 8 months. So yeah, let's give Okada one of the trios titles. They might as well. Jesus, whatever. I mean, they had to get the titles off of them. So Hangman, when he wins the world title, because he's gonna win the world title, unless they somehow want to back their way out of this stipulation, they can't at this point. They've already established it. They had to lose the trios championships, but Jesus Christ, Davis, Fletcher. Archer was right there. Why are you giving it to goddamn Okada? Anyway, yeah, that's all I gotta say. I'm gonna get to the show that I am going to April 15th, and I'm really thinking about reevaluating how much wrestling I cover after that. On all fronts. Old, new, doesn't matter. Because I'm not enjoying some of it. I am enjoying some of it, but the stuff I'm not enjoying is starting to dominate how I feel, and I don't like it. And he's not going to end the fucking Death Rise, if he's not going to do something about Don Callis, if he's not going to do something about the bad shit on this program, especially Excalibur's commentary, then eventually it's just going to get to where, I'm just going to pick and choose what I watch. And I ain't the only fan that feels that way. I don't even review WWE that much anymore. And AEW's about run me off. So agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentland. Until we revisit the state of Texas again, and hopefully Greg Abbott just, maybe a tree can actually do the right thing this time. Happy trails to you.